Good afternoon. My name is Simone. Today we're talking AI-augmented leadership. The subtext is, as if you haven't heard enough about AI in the past 6 months. Hopefully this is different. This is going to be about you, okay? First, a few questions. And be honest, your CEO is not in this room, okay? So how many of you are excited about AI? Okay. How many of you are afraid about AI? Yeah, that's what I thought. A lot of us are both. I am both. I'm excited because I feel this is the first time in my life I can really do my job well, because I can delegate the things that I'm not very good at. On the other end, I'm nervous, I'm anxious. There is a lot that we don't know. What's going to look like our industry in a couple of years? What about my job? What about my children's job? There is a lot that we don't know. But the way I decided to handle that anxiety is to be on the forefront of this transformation. I really believe this is an incredible time for all of us to change the way, to reshape the way we build product and software. And I want to be on the front of it. That was my plan 1 year ago. However, this is a representation of how I spent my time a year ago. So for someone in my role, I thought I should spend an equal amount of time coaching, program and stakeholder management, changing the environment so my team can do the better work. However, the picture was very different. Does it look like the color on someone that can make a huge change to the way their team work? No, it doesn't. However, what helped me? It helped me to dedicate a small amount of time to scale myself. What did I do with that time? I started, that's probably because I'm a software engineer, with Obsidian, with a tool. I created like a list of my to-do list, my notes, everything in one place. I was playing with Second Brain. You don't need to know what it is. However, I still was bombarded in Slack, with email. There was so much going on. It didn't change really much because everything was manual. On the other hand, when, as an engineer, I was working with an agentic tool, at the time, probably we were very agentic, I felt, wow, this is great. Imagine if you have something like that for managers. If you had something like that for manager, what this app will do? Well, on the other hand, imagine all things that wait on you while your responsibility grow, while your team grow, and so on. And often, those things doesn't allow you to focus on other stuff that pretty much is compounding, is making your product better, your technology better, your team better. What if you have an app that reduces the time that it takes to do tasks in both sides? Not only an app like that will allow you to reduce time that you spend in admin work, but you will already been able to do more compounding type of work. But what if you don't need another app? What if you need an agentic chief of staff? Well, given I'm at it, let's have a full staff, a full team. And this is my team. Penny, my planning coach. Lila, my data analyst. Parker, my project manager guru. Sylvia, my scribe. Hunter, my scout. And Dexter, my personal librarian. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to walk you through what they do for me every day. And then I'll explain a bit how this works. Okay, ready? Number 1, Penny. Penny is my planning coach. It was the first. I honestly don't know what I would do now without Penny. Penny knows my weekly goals, my quarterly goals, know what my manager needs from me. And every morning we sit down And we plan, and we try to find the balance between getting things done, or how we say a Kraken, get this shit done, and long term. She has also access to my calendar, so she tells me how much time I have available. She blocks time in my calendar for me if I need to focus time. And also, she's very good at spotting when there is an action that I didn't take. She looks at my notes, it's like, oh, there is something, maybe there is something there for you. Then there is Lila. Lila is the response to, we need more data, but we don't have the time to do data analysis. It's as simple as that. What if data analysis is just a prompt away, and you can do it in between meetings? Lila comes mostly out of the box, so I don't need to teach her much, but she's very useful. Every time I'm in meetings, I think it would be useful to do an analysis of our salary, for example. Okay, let me prompt this away. Oh, it would be interesting to know now that our client is off, if our reactive work is decreasing or not. Or, I'm in an incident, let's look at the conversion in this flow. Many times, Lila helped me a huge amount, negotiating with clients, making decisions, even in incidents. And the only thing I taught Lila to do is to not do analysis in the chat, create a separate project, a Python notebook, a README file, so that I can add on it, I can change it. It's as simple as that. Then there is Parker. Parker is my project management guru. He's the one that allowed me to know what's going on in my teams, in my project, without even looking at Asana. Parker is also very good at spotting trends, local trends, small trends. Something like, hey, did you notice that this team last 2 weeks has been more reactive than usual? Normally then I talk with Lila and say, hey, Lila, can you look what's going on? They work very well together because Parker focuses on a short time horizon, while Lila look for a, I can say, look in the last year. Is there a pattern there? And then there are my jewels, Sylvia and Hunter. They work on top of Slack. So for context, Kraken has roughly more than 1,000 engineers, and literally everything runs on Slack. It's literally impossible to be on top of everything, except now I can, without even trying. What do? They are different but complementary. Sylvia is expert in search and in conversation. Basically, every time I get mentioned, I can say, do I need to react? Is that conversation stuck somewhere that requires my intervention? Or I just need to know? Hunter is different, is that Hunter knows all the channels that I care about and create a summary of what has happened during the day. And then he also summarizes or look at summaries of transcription meeting I didn't join, and he put in a file. And then normally at the end of the day, I put my headphones on, and while I cycle my daughter from nursery, I listen to it. You may think that's a weird thing to listen to on your way on the bike. It's true. But you must admit, it's a very cool workflow. Hopefully by now you think, how do I start? When do I start? Please take my money. Let's try this. How many of you would love a similar workflow? Raise your hand. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got your back. Only today for £25 a month. No. Don't worry. Ruth is freaked out and front. It's like, I'm not selling anything. This is not sponsored at all. The truth is, you don't need another subscription. The agentic system your company provides is enough. If you have multiple, you want to pick the one that is connected to the tools in your company that you use daily or weekly. Nothing else. Why tools? Why tools are so important? Well, agents, tools for agents are like superpowers. So you want to pick the one that has access to things that you do daily and weekly. But if you have options, some company have options, this is my favorite setup. You need to be a local setup. For local, I don't mean your model needs to run locally. I don't do it. You don't need right now, maybe in a year time. Is local means it's a local project where your notes and everything sit and your agents run on it. It's like the long-term memory of your agent. And that clicked when I started to use Cursor, for example, for a project. I was like, Cursor was brilliant with Markdown file. I was like, whoa, That changed a lot. And then the agent is going to connect to a set of tools, by MCP, by CLI, and obviously you need a Markdown editor. But this is everything you need. That's it. Done. Finish my talk. No, okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you a bit more. So what this folder looks like. Forget about the first part. I'll get back in a second. So let's start with a little secret. Doors are closed. Little secret nobody knows. Ready? Okay. The agent can't read yet your mind. Surprised? Yes. They're gone. So you need to write things down. This is why you have the note folders. If you're not the type of person that likes to write down, type down, you can voice or something, but it needs to be down because ultimately, the more you put down in this folder, the more your agent is able to help you. Some people may say, whoa, we have transcription. We literally transcribe all the meaning we have. The problem with transcription is that they are the same for everyone. It doesn't say what you care about. It doesn't say the question you have. It doesn't say, hey, I need to talk about this with this person. It doesn't say anything about you. So this is why you need to take notes. There is a special type of notes, 101, I just mentioned. They normally sit in something like Notion, Google Doc, mostly because you want to share with the other party. You want a local version in your folder. Why? For example, for me, because Penny is very good at spotting things that I didn't consider. It's like, hey, you had a conversation there, but I think there is an action. What do you think? Then it's like, oh, you're right. So the more it's local, the better, more information, and then it can help. Then there is the concept repository. Concept is an interesting concept. Basically, you're going to have all those notes, and in all those notes, you're going to have fragments of information about different type of topics. So then a concept folder is, for each topic, you have a file. So it's very useful anyway if you have agents, if you do agentic development, you know why. But especially useful if you want a personal librarian like I do. For example, I have a topic that is AI in the software development lifecycle. I have a very strong opinion about the topic, and so I brought there everything I think is true. My beliefs, my assumption, how it's going to work. And every time I receive a new article, a video, a 2-hour podcast, apparently podcasts only come in 2-hour block at the moment, I ask my agent, should I read, should I watch it? And normally the agent say, it analyzes if there is something in the talk that adds on my topic, on this specific topic, or if there is something that, pushes against some of my bias. And I say, well, you should watch this. Because, for example, it may help you understand if you're right or wrong on a certain topic. So not only save me time by skipping things I don't need to, but also it helped me find content that, that can challenge my assumptions. Then there is summary, we can skip it. It's obvious what it is. The meta folder. Meta is about, it's not Facebook, it's about personalization. It's basically things that you want to tell your agent to make the experience personal to you. For me, goals are for Penny, or topics, and channel to monitor is for Sylvia and Hunter. You have the ability to create a hyper-personalized experience for you. So the personalization folder is to tell the agent exactly what is important to you right now, not last week, right now. Then let's talk about skills. I've been talking about agents so far. The truth is, most of the things that I described are actually skills. So if you're familiar with the term in agentic development, this is it. If you're not, it's a markdown file with some metadata that describe a certain behavior that you want to make repeatable for an agent. There is another truth. You don't need to give name to your agents. I don't. This is just for sure. Why it could be useful, or why I give them roles, not names? Because it helps you understand that different agents have a different purpose. They may talk with you in a different way. They may do different things. They may behave differently. They may access different data. So thinking in terms of persona, roles, give name, whatever you fancy here, it can be useful for that reason. How do you start? I wish I could find the version 1 of the prompt that I prompted Penny with. I couldn't, but this is probably close. Version 1 of Penny was simply saying, hey, I have some weekly goals, I have my notes, I have my to-do list. Can you help me understand if I'm progressing well with my work? That was version 1. How I did it? I prompt my agentic system to create it for me. So you don't need to write a skill file, really. And then what? Well, then you use it. And when you use it, you improve it. It's a simple feedback loop. You need to think almost as if you are onboarding someone to help you out. If someone comes to help you out, you're not going to give like a huge list of things to do. You start thin, one thing, and then you iterate and say, oh, I couldn't do that, I could do that. Penny version 2 then started to be more of a coach, started to have access to my quarterly goals. And version 3 started to have access to my calendar. Every little iteration improves slightly the way present information to me, the type of question they're asking, and so on. Skills require maintenance. So don't create too many at the same time. Iterate on it until it feels right, and then move on. You also, when the model change, when the hardness change, probably you want to tweak them. You may have to tweak them. Now, what is, in my opinion, the most important question when you want to create a skill? Doing or coaching? I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to get any better at searching on Slack. Hunter is doing a brilliant job at that. I don't need to do anything about it. But balancing getting things done with long-term goals is still something I want to get better at. I still want to train myself to get better. I don't want to lose it. Hence why Penny is a coach. She's nudging me. She's helping me reflect what I'm doing. She's not doing the planning for me. If there is one thing you pick today, is this one, from my talk, obviously. This is a very interesting time. We need to think hard about what are the things that we should delegate and what are the things where we need to keep getting better at. For the things we want to delegate, do it. For the thing you want to get better, coaching, enabling. I'll give you a couple of examples. Example of doing. Maybe it's just me. I realized after 6 months, I don't need to get any better at project management. Parker, incredible, doing a great job, done. However, for other things, it's different. And this is where I think we need to start drawing a line on what we want to keep human. People need connection, human connection. So, at a time where it feels like everything can be automated, it may feel almost easy to say, whoa, we could automate performance review, for example. We can find 4 or 5 KPI, quantifiable, that tell you what someone's contribution to a company is. At peak automation, and we are potentially with tool for peak automation, we need to remember, people are not machines. They don't like to be treated like machines. And they don't like to be led by one. Okay? So connection, you want to keep human. And on the same line, I don't think anybody wants to be led by ChatGPT. So you may want to keep your voice. This has been a struggle for me for the past 6 months, a couple of times. English is not my first language. I still care that people understand what I'm saying. So at time, in a rush, I just say to ChatGPT, can you just do this? And then copy, paste it on Slack, send. It wasn't well received. It didn't engage, it didn't connect. It wasn't my voice. Obviously it was obvious. There was no grammar error. So but it wasn't my voice. I think that now more than ever, and I love that a lot of speakers did the same, we need to be open about how we use AI when we communicate. And this is why probably you may have noticed that at the bottom of every slide, you may see Notebook LM, that's a product from Google, because I'm not a designer. I decided that I wanted to be the director for this, not draw the slides. And it felt right to me to tell you. Does it feel right to you that I didn't draw the slides? I don't know. But if we don't communicate about it, if I don't tell you, I don't know. Now, let's look back at my beautiful calendar. I hope you appreciate the colors. I never thought I would need so much time to improve the environment so my team can be better enabled to use AI. Look at what is now 50% of my time. Look at what shrunk. Look at admin and stakeholder and program management. The only things left there are my connection with my teams, connection with my clients, some of them, not all of them, with stakeholders, the human part. What has been automated is the admin part, and I think it's a good thing. So this is a big wave. Hopefully you get out of lead dev with this clear. And I decided to surf it. And I think you should do too. This room is full of people that have a very good knowledge of the software life cycle. They're quite human-centered. I can't think of a better group of people to navigate what the new system are going to look like. So pick one skill tomorrow, even tonight, even now, during, when we talk together. Create it, iterate on it until it works for you. And then move to the next one. This is how I started a year ago. Thank you.